All right. Good afternoon or good morning for those of you that are tuning in live. Welcome, welcome. Feel free to head to the chat. Let us know where you're from and perhaps what brought you to the webinar here today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Steve Gerten. I'm the CEO here at Agent Legend. And what we're unpacking here today is we have been laser focused on the data that exists within each and every one of your CRMs in your databases and why that data is so critically important for your day-to-day decision making, but also as it relates to the overall value of your business. And so today's session is going to be really all about how do we identify all the gold in the old. So for those of you who are actively investing in lead generation, the investment you make in those leads, how do we get you away from the constant acquisition mindset of buying new leads, the race to the bottom, knowing that those are the least profitable leads that or the least profitable transactions you'll have, and making sure that we don't lose sight of all of those leads that you may have purchased or may have accumulated over the days, months, or years that you have been in operation. And so what we are going to be walking through here today, and if I think my face is in the middle of that QR code, but for those of you who have not already done this, if you are an existing Agent Legend customer, you probably have, or if you are considering our platform, I'm going to remove my face here, scan that QR code. What we do is we actually will, complimentary, do this for free of charge, is just audit the database and helping you actually identify those opportunities. And with our CRM connections, we connect with the top 10 CRMs in both the real estate and mortgage space. We can then really help you create smarter outbound outreach strategies to really help you not only identify the gold, but also nurture and ultimately engage and add those perceived dead or missed opportunities back into your pipeline. And so that's what we're going to unpack here today. Thanks, Jim and Don, for jumping into the chat. Anybody else who's on live, we want to hear from you. But without further ado, I'm going to get started. As questions arise, jump in, please do, as we get going. So to tee up really what we're going to talk about today, these are the four most common headaches that our customers are experiencing in a day-to-day basis. So, whether we are working with a lead vendor, with one of your partners that are on these calls, the leads cost too much. We're not seeing the requisite return. We see like the average, as we audited all of our customers, we see that the average client of ours spends about $50,000 a year. Now we have some that spend much, much more than that as well. And that is critically important because generally it takes at least 6 to 12 months to successfully convert some of those opportunities, whether you're buying Google, Facebook, or Meta ads, or maybe you're getting them from the portals, just depending upon where those customers are in their journeys. What is tough to understand is where they are in that path to purchase. And without having a conversation with that lead and actually getting down to, what is their true mindset? It can be really difficult to understand that information. We get a lot on my team. We get a lot of these leads suck. As a team owner, as a broker owner, that is what you never want to hear, right? We just want you to work the leads, because we whipped out our own credit card to buy those opportunities for you. And we just want you to convert those opportunities. I've heard and I've said it, and it sounds blunt to a certain extent, but the leads don't suck. At the end of the day, our prospecting and our operations kind of suck, and we got to improve that. And what we're going to unpack here today is how you can do that, leveraging the power of AI. Everybody is adopting AI, and we're going to talk to how we and our customers feel about adopting AI here today. But also big data. Big data is the backbone of our AI product, Lily, that we're going to showcase here for you today. And previously, it was cost prohibitive to provide that to our SMB clients, real estate professionals, mortgage professionals, even customers in the home services verticals that we serve. Well, now that's readily available. And for those that are further along in their AI journey, you know that if there's one thing that AI, those platforms, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever you're using, whatever they're really, really, really good at, ingesting and making sense of large data sets. And that's what we're doing. Think about all of the incredible amount of information that's flowing through your database each and every single day: clicks, emails, call logs, every change of a stage, every property view. Those things are incredible first party information. And we're going to just take it as a layer deeper as we progress here and showing how our customers are seeing some success in leveraging the data component to really get a true picture of where these people are in their path to purchase. We see a lot of folks that when they're onboarding with us, the next point here is their database is a graveyard. So these are old leads, aged leads. I bought these several years ago. I never got a hold of them. And so we just think they're dead or they're trash. At the end of the day, you spent time and money on those opportunities. And to think that anybody is dead or trashed is a disservice, and it is costing you a ton of money. And so look at what is happening in the industry with consolidation. Data and these leads are worth something to someone. And so we want to open your eyes to how you can really turn those dead leads into true assets within your organization to really maximize the value of what you're doing each and every single day. And the final one is just the AI tools haven't helped. So we are seeing a lot of our clients and people in the industry, they're fast to adopt tools. There's a lot of AI products rolling out each and every single day. I see something new. And some of them are okay. Some of them are continuing to get better. Now, our AI product is probably the most boring AI solution that we're going to show you here today, but it again is the backbone of decision making, not only across sales, but marketing and operations. And so if as I'm going along here, if you have any questions whatsoever, I want you to pop into the chat, because some of this we're not going to go too deep into unless you really want to. We have a full hour here, and I'm happy to really go deep into these subjects here, but we're going to really focus on those items that I highlighted in red here. So the leads suck. How do we get your team's mindset away from that? How do we get them to be more efficient? Get some early wins using the information that you have in your database and getting smarter about how you're monetizing that information. The database is a graveyard. How do we help you focus on the right leads and avoiding distractions and not viewing somebody who's not clicking on your information in your database, which is what you have visibility into? With big data now, you can now have access to that information. These leads aren't dead. They're out there doing things, and we want to give you that layer of insight directly within the tools that you're already using day to day. And then also these AI tools. How do you use this product? How do you use Agent Legends Database Manager as an insurance policy for all the other tech solutions that you have in your solution set? We'll go through some of those examples, but I want you to really think about where this could be applicable. So the first item in this is really to discuss, where do you focus? Now, I don't know why some of my sweet emojis did not populate there, but we had really, where do you focus your time, your money, and ultimately your human resources? Human resources kind of get baked into the money and time continuum. And we live in a world where there's a ton of distractions. So I talk about this all the time when it comes to random acts of marketing. We have people on our platforms and any platforms that you see that are just really, they want to just deploy as many messages as they possibly can and hoping that something sticks. Consumers now at the end of the day want relevancy and they want personalization. But if you take that upstream a little bit, think about the clients that you serve, your agents or your team members, your ISAs. They want clarity as to who the heck they should be talking to each and every single day. And right now, we call it the ding factor. We see a lot of platforms out there that are built around noise. They're built around really getting your attention. And the more attention that they have, they know that you're going to be attracted to that. And so we end up chasing a lot of tire kickers, people that are clicking on things, opening things. And if we just do that, that's okay. But we take it a step further. We help you actually identify the next phase. And so this is a common item. I wanted to include this. It's one of my favorite graphics, is because I was in this position as well, is we invest a lot of money. So people that are out there like to promote their top line revenue. But at the end of the day, they may have incredible operational inefficiencies. They're investing in solutions to chase down this activity. So every ding comes with a cost. Everything comes with a cost. So you're either sending time or money really chasing this activity. But at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of people out there that like to look at real estate, like to steal your attention, and that can be quite costly. When we operate our real estate business, we're in the sub 10% in margin. Since implementing this solution that I'm going to show you, we've taken that to double digits already in less than a 12-month period. And so you think about being able to cut costs. That's a huge component. We're investing a ton in lead gen today, but now we are much smarter in how we are nurturing those prospects and when we're reaching out to them. So think right message. Great. We know how to do that at Agent Legend. We've been doing that for 15 years. But now with the rising costs of deploying those messages, whether we're doing it through our telco providers with text messages or calls and voicemails, through emails or handwritten letters, there's a cost to all of that activity. So reaching the wrong people with the wrong message can be a recipe for disaster. And that was happening. Our opt-out rates were really high. Our unsubscribes were wrong. And we viewed that as, well, they just weren't interested in ever buying. Well, no, it was just the wrong time. And so if we can figure that out where people are in the path to purchase, that's the sweet spot. So now enter lead scoring. I want to highlight this because now we are seeing a lot of great product being rolled out by our favorite platforms. So I just kind of captured a few that we work alongside quite a bit. These lead scores are directional. We've used these for years to, again, gain a little bit of an edge as to who we're reaching out to based on the activity that's taking place. You'll see there that like clicks and views, email opens, last communication. That's a lot of what drives these scoring algorithms. Now, there's a slight problem with that, is because that activity doesn't really point to intent. And so that is the handicap that we have. We're only privy to if you're taking action on my website, or if you are answering my calls or texting me back, calling me back. Those items impact my score. Well, you know that most likely every lead in your database, or most of them, are likely in 3 or 4 other competitor databases, just with the nature of giving our information away in return for seeing a property or open house, all that stuff. And we're constantly getting messaging from other people, and we may be engaging on their platforms. Well, if you don't have access to that information, you might be making assumptions that are hurting you. And that hurt us a ton. We would constantly log back into our system. We'd get notifications that a prospect had actually just successfully bought a home, but with somebody else. We had purchased that prospect's information months ago, and we just stopped talking to them because we didn't have success. And the nature of our salespeople, they're very much in the "what have you done for me lately" mindset. That's back to "these leads suck." Well, we were having them chase brand new shiny objects first. And that was at the detriment to all of these leads that we had purchased, we had invested in, and we did a disservice to those leads because we forgot about them. And we just assumed that they weren't going to buy. They ultimately purchased. And if you can unlock that, that is the goal. That is the goal that we have. And that's what we really want to be focused on. And the key here is that offline data. So for those of you like Don, I see you're on. You're a current customer of ours. You understand what we are doing, where we are now able to take, with the first party information, what our platform is able to do is take all of the offline data. So our product team has been able to go out and amass this massive data set where we have over 270 million adults in that data set. And we know over 1,600 unique variables about them. Think about that. We know what they're buying, where they're searching. All of that information is publicly available. Some of us, myself included, may have been previously using offline data, such as the 5Ds: death, diamonds, divorce, diplomas, and diapers. I think I got them all on my first try. That's pretty difficult. But that's what we used in a silo in parallel to maybe some of the first party data. So we weren't able to marry those two things up. But what if I knew that you were clicking on emails, you were opening certain things in my system, you were viewing properties, and what if you also had just had a baby? Or maybe you just got a pay raise at work. Maybe you were actively searching on a competitor's website. I don't know that information. Well, we do. We give you that information. And when you combine the two, that is the secret sauce. And so now you have a much stronger score to go off of. So as we go back to all the activity and those dings that we were talking about, now we have distilled it down to 4 actionable prospects that are ready. These folks are ready. So now we know the right people. Now we get to work on the right message. So think about your AI powered solutions that you have at your disposal. And within Agent Legend, we do AI powered communications. So once we have now, via AI, empowering the ability to now figure out the right people, we've now been able to now think about the overhead I may have had chasing all of these people. I can now distill it down to the top 4 of maybe the 20 that are on this list to date. And now I can deploy the right message at the right time. I know where these folks are in their path to purchase, and I can focus my time, money, and any other resources on just the top of the top and let the rest of my system think about all of those other platforms we talked about that get the activity in your database. That's the top 90%. And think about that. Now I have the top 90% of my future prospects, my suspects. They're getting those email notifications from the great platforms we know, love, and trust. The action plans through Follow Up Boss. You have your portals continuing to engage with your customers. You have great platforms like Real Scout and Fellow and Rooster that are waking up that database, keeping them engaged. And then we are that added layer of insurance that comes in to say, is this person ready or not? And that's what we do. That is it. And the next things I want to highlight for everybody, and then I'm going to pivot into showing you what this looks like in our platform. Now, I want to talk about, though, why this is so important. A lot of people lose sight of this, but as we're thinking about what's happening in our industries right now, and this has been happening in home services for a number of years, where you're seeing consolidation, you're seeing platforms going out and creating operational efficiencies through acquisitions. And look no further than, if you're in the real estate world, think Zillow and think Compass and what they are actively doing. You have 2 different strategies at play here. You have Compass, who's going out, they just purchase anywhere brands. And what they actually purchased is the data that comes along with all of the agent activity that they've been pumping through these platforms. And so as you think about your business, think about how much value you're pumping into your CRM each and every single day, your transaction management system, your loan origination software. Think about all that information. A lot of us rent that information, and we're in real estate. We understand this, renting versus owning. Would you rather own your data, or are you renting it right now? And so this encapsulates what we see each and every single day. If you're a user of some of these platforms, you see really what is at stake here, where yes, there is a cost of doing business, where if you're using certain products and services, they're leveraging your data that you're pumping in, you're spending your time and money creating, and you're giving it away for the most part. We don't feel that that's the right way. There should be a 2-way street. There should be a symbiotic relationship. And yes, you want those products to also benefit you, and that's what most of them are doing. But we want to make sure that each and every single day you are accumulating an asset that you actually own. And that is a key pillar with what we have built, is really think of us as that intermediary between these platforms. All of these great platforms that you see and use every single day, they are gathering a tremendous amount of information and data. Our platform gives you that ownership. It allows you to start harvesting that information. And what you're doing is building your own database that ultimately will get smarter over time. Again, leveraging the power of AI, but now it's yours. It is yours, and you can use it however you need to drive your business forward. Your operational efficiencies increase, your margins increase, your costs go down, and ultimately it gives you more profit to either reinvest or to continue to bring to the bank as you're continuing along. So that way you're able to offset, industry declines. We're no longer focused on top line revenue. We really need to be focused on that net profit at the end of the day, revenue minus expenses. How do we help you increase that revenue and help you lower expenses? And if we do that with the power of AI and the power of big data, that is the key to how we operate moving forward. You're going to continue to see your platforms that you're investing in. They're going to be rolling out these solutions, but we want you to be mindful of who actually owns that information at the end of the day. If you're subscribing to a CRM, can you take all that data with you? Or is it just beholden in the CRM and you have to start from scratch when you transition or make a new decision? That's something that we want everybody to be mindful of as we continue forward. All right, so I'm going to get teed up here with my demo of our system. Jump into the chat if there's any questions. I'm going to give everybody a minute here who's on live to jump into the chat, questions or comments or anything that you've seen or heard here that you want to learn more about. And for those that have not gotten the complementary analysis, I'm going to show you what that looks like here in just a second. Scan that QR code. It's going to take you to a form, fill it out, and then the next steps will just populate for you. So without further ado, I'm going to take off my ugly mug from the screen. We're going to focus just on our database. We're going to get going here. Okay. Add to the stage. Remove, add. All right. So I am now navigating within Agent Legend. This is our platform. What I have teed up here is a connection directly into our team's CRM. And so we happen to use Follow Up Boss in this example. And so we have now with that API connection, what Agent Legend is doing is harvesting all of the first party information that we've talked about, all that great, incredible information that's built up within your CRM. And it is live. It is just like if you're using AI, right? The more context it gets, the smarter it gets over time. That's how our system works as well, where day one, the predictions of who's ready and who's not is on a scale of 1 to 10, a 6. Every day that passes, all the activity keeps informing your own unique model. And as it continues to progress, you're going to get smarter with that prediction moving forward. And what we're typically predicting is what you see in the graph here. You could see it's not rendering as beautifully as we would like. Our UI and UX is going to be completely refreshed here in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned on that. But what we're focused here on is, I mentioned, right people, right time, right message. This is your path to purchase. What we communicate to our customers is this is the gold and the old. These are your hot leads. Most of us have our own definition of hot leads. And again, I can pretty much assume that it's driven off of just first party data. Now, remember, we are now filtering all of that activity to then say, are these leads that you believe to be hot, are they eliciting the behaviors that somebody who just purchased real estate was also exhibiting? So think look-alike audience at the end of the day. Now that is what our data engineers are doing, and they're maintaining these models each and every single day. You just never have to see it. For you, it's as simple as API key connection, and in 24 hours, you're going to get this dashboard populating directly within your system. I'm going to navigate a few things here and highlight some of the things that we are doing to just improve the overall asset that you have. So I mentioned the ability now in real time to harvest your data. This is now yours. So imagine if you decided to go from CRM A and migrate over to CRM B. You no longer have a cold start problem if you were to do that, leveraging this middleware in between those two systems. That is a key thing right now, as we're seeing some teams migrating for whatever reasons. Maybe they're at brokerage A that had a CRM that was endorsed, and now they're moving to a different platform because the new CRM has a different, or a new broker has a different CRM, or just to protect and hedge against maybe some of the inner workings within the industry right now. So keep that in mind. That's just another opportunity for you to get smarter about, who controls your data at the end of the day. The next is this live feed of total contacts. We're going to start in the top right here. So we have 82,000 leads in our database right now. And in real time, Lily, Lead Intelligence, is analyzing over nearly 14 million unique data points. So I mentioned all of the first party data that is included in here, but it's also all of that offline data. I mentioned 1,600 attributes. This ranges from age, demographic information, financial information, property information, even down to hobbies, right? There is a ton of data included in here that we've just gone out and acquired, built this massive data set, and then we're able to model off of it. And so in our case for our real estate and mortgage clients, we have it really dialed into really who's looking to buy, sell, refinance, or rent, right? Those are kind of the key decision-making processes that we want to predict. A big thing that we see is, you'll see here our match rate. This particular example, it's not very good. We have a match rate of 49%. And what that means is we have some dirty data in our system. So Lily isn't able to analyze, again, at the household level, if I don't have accurate phone, email, address information. We can go out and with a click of a button. And for those of you who are curious about those 1,600 data points, I'm going to pull this up. So you can see here, let me make it a little bit larger. And you can see our entire library is in here, guys. And so we have clients that have some unique needs as it relates to the data that they want in their CRM. The most popular is going to be, hey, help me clean it up. Because what good is it in my day to day if I can't reach these prospects? And so they just simply want to update the contact records, and we can do that. Again, it's a data enrichment play. So a lot of platforms have this readily available. We just do it with a few clicks of the button. And it's just part of really the first phase as we're getting up and going, because we want to make sure that lead intelligence and the platform overall can actually analyze that lead activity and give you a good readout as to who's worth the outreach, who's worth that time and money right now, so you can focus on them. So that is our first step in our process. And then we increase the match rate to a more reasonable number. And I'm going to get into some of the insights that we have. So not just who's ready, who's a hot lead, warm lead, and cold lead. Again, these buckets here, these are the arenas that we would recommend, hey, put them into a great database nurturing system. I've mentioned some of the players that are out there, but think low-cost providers that can deploy messaging out to these audiences. And we're going to get down to, well, no longer do you have to deploy generic messaging. You can have dynamic curated experiences for each lead within these buckets, again, because you have more context. You're not treating everybody like a line item in a spreadsheet anymore because that's all you really know about them. Well, guess what? We are going to give you, and I'm going to highlight some of these because they're in your dashboard. These are just the modules. But again, we set all of these things up when you get started with us. The next thing that we are going through is, you can see here, our sales qualified leads. That's our definition of, these are where you need to spend time and money. These are the hot leads, right? And so within that bucket, in the case of real estate and mortgage, we have been able to just really segment these audiences a little bit further for you. So think, if you know they're a first-time home buyer, if you know that they're a move-up buyer, a downsizer, investor, luxury buyers, right? We have created those segments, which is really helpful in terms of creating content around those individuals, as well as assigning them to the appropriate team within my team, right? So if I have a really experienced agent that knows how to work with investors, I want to make sure that they are assigned to those leads moving forward. So think, if you're doing round robining, that's fine. You kind of want everybody to get their fair share of leads. But a common issue was we were assigning big opportunities to people that maybe were just getting started in their career, or we were assigning big opportunity or little opportunities to those that really didn't have the time and capacity to address those leads in a timely manner. And so we want to make sure that the lead routing gets smarter, and you can do that with this now at your fingertips. Additionally, we give you personas. And so this is really helpful for those of you who are on the marketing side here. I'm going to put my marketing hat on here, is being able to create copy, create images. If you're doing ads, we do a lot of this for the ad agencies that we work with. They will use this to say, hey, we want to create better, more personalized ads and messaging to each of these audiences. So imagine if I knew how to, again, right message, right time. And now you're able to provide a call to action, a really strong offer to hot leads who are first-time home buyers, who are also the middle-class mom Moira example, right? And if I clicked into this example, I would know that she's making between $75,000 and $100,000 a year in total income, and she also has at least 2 kids in her household. Is an example of the profiles that we've created within here, and it again gives you that deeper level of understanding who exactly within your database you have. If you have a heavy weight of first-time home buyers in your database, you sure as heck better be, if you're trying to grow your team, you should be going out and finding agents that are really, really good at closing those first-time home buyers, as well as these other audiences as well. So I want you to think about how you can apply these insights into your business instead of the random acts of marketing that we have, which leads to poor performance and lower profitability. We also, because of the direct tap into the database, we can give you a breakdown of your lead types based on score. And so the 91 to 100, those are your hot leads. And this is back to what we're mostly familiar with in terms of lead scoring overall. But what this is doing is, this isn't our own score. So if you can imagine, we are using the scoring from those other great platforms that I highlighted already. So if you have a lead scoring system set up in your day-to-day operation, we're using that. we're also amplifying it with that third party data. And now imagine how much stronger and how much more confidence you can finally have in those scores. And to give you examples, and we have some case studies on our site when you go and fill out the form, we are seeing a 4 times higher response rate for our campaigns that are running using our scores than those that aren't, right? So if you're able to now see that a 4x higher response rate, now we're not able to fully capture that end-to-end revenue opportunity and equating to ROI, but those responses, every response we get lends itself to more conversation, and every conversation you have is one step closer to a closing. And so that's just the power of some of the incrementality we're seeing. Additionally, it's helping you with a stage breakdown. So you can see here, I can now distill down based on maybe I only want to focus on past clients. This is a popular use case as we get into event planning or any of those items. I can now understand all my past clients that are in my database and where exactly they are. They're going to be a repeat purchaser. And so this is really helpful as we think about how do we help you get smarter about that acquisition strategy. That's what most of this presentation has been about. But the retention and maximization of those past clients, I even hate that we call them past clients. They're really current clients. They're always prospects, because what if they're ready to move again? We need to make sure that we're that agent that not only capitalizes on the first transaction opportunity with them, but we're increasing lifetime value of every client within our database as well. So I can use this information. And then I'll just highlight these briefly, and then I want to jump into then how do you use this, in terms of action within your day-to-day. The next is household income, right? So I can distill down, I can understand the income ranges of my prospects in my database. You can see here the makeup of it. Language is a popular one. We work with a lot of customers in Southern California, in San Antonio and Houston markets, Miami markets as well, where you do have, some bilingual customers that are out there. And so imagine if you just knew perhaps agent assignment, or in terms of the outreach, then you know what to say to them, right? And then sources. So this is great. We audit our lead vendors all the time, and they also audit us. Like, hey, how are you doing with our leads? And this is really helpful as we get into those conversations. I can just highlight the leads that are particular to whoever I'm meeting with, and really go deeper as to the quality of leads. What were the score breakdowns of those leads, as well as, do we have any recent closings with those opportunities as well? And then we have own and rent in here as well. So this is the basic breakdown of the dashboard. Now, this is great, but sometimes you can get into analysis paralysis and really taking action. Well, what we do is we set up filters with this data. The most common is going to be when we, as a communications platform, what we need to be laser focused on is keeping our costs in check for our clients, right? And so instead of think usage-based models where these platforms are incentivized to just say, hey, go and message as many people as you want. We know that that's not a great customer experience. And so that's why we, in our platform, first start with who should you be reaching out to? If you have a database of 82,000 people, I'm not recommending that you reach out to 82,000 people. If you have an event coming up and you have a limited budget, how do we make sure that you're spending your money wisely on the highest priority leads? So that's why it's really important to use this information at your disposal to make those critical business decisions, so you're not wasting money on the wrong things. And so that pivots into how we think about building campaigns. And so I'm just going to quickly go into our campaign builder to give you a little feel for right now. I didn't tee any of this up. This is very raw. I wanted to just kind of show you what this looks like to begin with, and give you an idea of the capabilities that we have. So the channels in which we're able to reach out to prospects is going to be email, great, text message, video text message, ringless voicemail, phone calls, and then also handwritten letters. And so if you think about the omni-channel strategy that we are able to provide our customers, we are able to make sure that you can use text messages to get a really high open rate, a really quick call to action. Speed is critical, but short and sweet. and being able to overlay that text with a voice with it, which is helpful with the voicemails, where you're able to just say, hey, it's Steve. Thank you for inquiring about 123 Main Street. I just text you, and also check your email as well. They get all of the information they need, all teed up within the campaign that we've set up for them. And so the final variable is now with handwritten letters. So if you go to our website and go into the product arena, you can see our letters capability. We have a whole warehouse of robots that literally put pen to paper and they're writing letters for our customers. Think about how powerful that can be on automated throughout your automations, where you're able to send a letter to maybe somebody you just sat down with for coffee. It could be a recruit or a potential client, a new listing opportunity, an event you're hosting or holding. If you're a lender and you're looking for partnership opportunities with your agents, we see a lot of this co-marketing that's taking place within the platform as well in a RESPA compliant manner, where you're able to help with those opportunities that are in there. And nothing stands out more than a handwritten letter versus a generic direct mail piece. It's literal, real pen to paper. You craft the message and it gets sent out. I'll share an example here for you. But these are incredible when it comes to getting open rates as well as getting inbound responses, and everything is tracked directly within our system as well. And you can chain these campaigns. You can add text, email, and voicemails. Our system will tell you when that letter is going to arrive in the household as well. And then the final thing to tease you a little bit of what's to come. This is our campaign builder. Right, we still do drips. We do drips within our platform. The AI that we have right now is informing who to reach out to, and that helps with the scripting of these. You can use our AI agent, our campaign builder, to actually build personalized campaigns where you just prompt it, just like you would with Claude or any of the AI tools that you're using to date, to say, I need a really great campaign for my sales qualified leads that have been in my database for 60 plus days. They're first time home buyers, and I received them from Zillow, Realtor.com, Google, Meta, you name it. And you can inform it. And we've already pre-programmed or given it the context because we've been in operation for 10 plus years. We know the best performing campaigns. We just loaded them into the back end. And that is what drives the drip formats that we're sending out. And then in the next 60 days, we are going to be providing those customers, right? We want to make sure that Lily is activated within your database and is learning. And when we get to the next phase of folks are wanting that AI, that agentic experience around, I just need an automated AI sales assistant. And we launched an AI assistant, and it was, for those of you who were on the beta, it was about a 3 out of 10. Where out of the box, those solutions are really, really strong. They're decent. But what they're lacking is that context, just like you are. If it's just first party data, you reach out with really incomplete or inconsistent information. And so we are releasing a solution that has all of the insights that I shared with you and Lily already fed into the back end. So based on the lead it's engaging with, it understands the conversation history that's in your system. And it also understands more of the information behind that lead. What type of lead are they? Have they purchased a property before? Do they have kids? Do they have a dog? How does that experience relate to them? And now imagine all of the other AI tools that are available that you can plug that system into. We're looking into the AI search that's available. Well, now imagine if you can curate personalized inventory for those leads. That is where this is heading. And we just become the first element of that to give context to those tools. So as you think about those AI investments that you're making in your business, think out of the box, those tools are pretty strong. But with this added layer of context and context about your business, that is what is so critical as you look back to the slides that we shared. It's your data. That's your asset. Now you can use that asset to improve your day-to-day operations. You can also use it to improve the performance of all the vehicles that you're investing in as well. All right, so I am going to jump back here, get back into the chat, and I'm going to answer some questions if we have any, which is awesome. And I'm going to put my beautiful face back up here so you know that I am still around. Give me a second. All right, we're going to, and I'm going to keep this up just in case there's some questions. All right, so all right, Don Keaton, how could I use for sale by owner and expired listings to upload into this AI platform? Great question, Don. So with expireds and for sale by owners, the key there is that they are already showing intent, right? They've listed their home. So the scoring in and of themselves isn't going to be the main use case, right? So you already know that they're hot leads. That's why most people are going after them, and that's why there's a crowded market for that. What we do is we see really high, because we've been doing this as well. Our performance on response rates for expireds specifically was around a 2.5% response rate. And in a 12-month time frame, we'd close maybe 10 to 15% of those responses. Since implementing this, we have now seen a response rate in almost 9.5%. And the reason for that is the vehicle that we're using. I'll highlight that in a second, but also the messaging we include in that letter. I already teased it. We send handwritten letters now to expired and for sale by owners. So instead of trying to fight in with phone calls or text message or email outreach, or even direct mail, we will load in the expired and for sale by owners. We have a expired script that we use with merge fields, and the merge fields include really important information about maybe who that person is, and we try to create some more personalization around it. So let's use the example of you would load in the expired listing, and you now know that that person is a family of 5, and they make over $350,000 a year, and they are relocating. That is what we can include in the messaging now in that letter to say we have, like, hey, my family and I, we use some of that scripting to create a more personalized connection versus that generic outreach, which cost per piece is lower, yes, but I have to send a lot more pieces. So my ROI just isn't quite there. And so that's how we've used those. And for sale by owners as well, similar. And we have templates for those done. But that is a really popular use case for the letter capability in and of itself. They come, if you go to our site, you'll see what they look like. It's not an inkjet, what you see when people say handwritten letter. No, these are not printed. These are literal pen to paper. It's a robot writing it. It's got local postage in an envelope that you have full control over the creative of that postcard in there. So they looked really, really great depending upon, however you're deploying those. How do we obtain household income? Steve Hill, great question. So that is through our data. We have a data team that goes out through the data brokers that exist out there. So think Experian. Think, as a credit card holder, you give and you opt in to provide them, in exchange for that service, you provide them that data. Now, we have certain agreements in place with those data providers that we do it in an ethical way. That was always our problem when you're doing the 5Ds of like, I don't know if it's ethical to be going after somebody that, just died, right? That's why we pool all of those traits together to create more of a modeled experience. So it's a more ethical way about going about it. And we provide the ranges for you. So we don't tell you specifically the actual income of that property owner. We pool it. So you get a good range around where they fall. Best practice campaigns, Joyce. Yes, we do. So we have, again, with our track record, we have, I think I hinted at some of those where we have campaigns ready to go that are plug and play. If you're using any of I mentioned, you kind of saw in my presentation that there are third-party platforms like a Real Scout, a Fellow, a Rooster, HomeBot, right? Those are platforms that will add, triggers or tags that usually cascade into, automations. We've created a library of those specifically. And then we have just our best in class campaigns that are in our vault that we provide during the setup process. And then we also have our campaign builder. If you want a more customized, maybe a little more local feel where you can plug in, like I'm in the Minneapolis, St. Paul market, for example, and make it a little bit more personalized. Does Vimeo work with our video text? It does not. What you do is you literally record it on your phone. Think more organic feel performs better, and think short and sweet. So think under 15 seconds versus a really long message. Now, what we can use Vimeo for is a short and sweet text that says, hey, Don, thanks for reaching out. I just sent you a video about the property that you're interested in. And that's where you can post that video. Or if you have an event, right, you can use that email channel to send it to, or ask them for an email and then you send it. But email, or just with the media, like the size of those files, they don't render really well when you're sending larger files or like a Vimeo format for it. Okay. Well, guys, we are almost to time here. Well, we have about 15 minutes left, but I don't see any other questions in the chat. I'm going to share the presentation one more time. For those of you who are new to the platform, and you're interested in at least doing the complementary database analysis, there's no credit card, nothing needed for that. We do it free of charge for you to get a cursory review of that database. Scan that QR code that will kick off the process, and then one of our team members will reach out to you. For those of you that had any questions that we didn't answer on here, please reach out to our team. You can reach out through our website, or if you have a direct line into our support or sales channels, you can do so as well. So I hope this was a good use of everyone's time. Please reach out if there are any topics that you want us to cover. We have pretty much a webinar a week until September planned at this point. But if there's certain topics you want to make sure that we cover off on, please let us know. We'd love to support you in those efforts. And yes, the replay will be available. It gets sent out for anybody who registers, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, guys. We appreciate everyone here. Have a phenomenal rest of your day. And if we don't speak to you, have an awesome spring season. And good luck this year. We'll talk to you soon.